Let's go to our next guest. It's time for the Centric Health sponsored hour. That would be Dr. Bridge Bombi, our local cardiologist. He comes on every week to kind of help us make some sense of these things, which are over our pay grade, certainly my pay grade. Dr. Bombi, how are you, sir?
Well, Richard, how are you?
I'm well. You're going to have to help me here. You need to talk me off the ledge, Dr. Bombi. I think the statistics bear it out that this virus is raging, and anecdotally, my neighbor next door spent Thanksgiving in Ventura. He came back with it. He's hunkered down with his wife. My youngest daughter, who lives in San Francisco, and her boyfriend, they both have it. My 94-year-old stepfather in Phoenix, he's just recovering from it. It just seems like the walls are closing in. Talk to me about kind of where we are with the state of infections.
The numbers speak for themselves. Just the known infections have exceeded even the worst expectations. Look what happened yesterday. We had over 200,000 infections, over 100,000 hospitalizations, and nearly 3,000 deaths in a day. It's a couple of weeks ago we talked about 9/11 every 3 days. Now it's 9/11 every day.
Good Lord.
The numbers are. You can't put a good adjective to explain this. It's a miserable situation, and more and more we have to keep on emphasizing the safety measures because it is us who spread it. It's human behavior. Part of it we can control, other parts we can't control, but the parts we control can easily lower the chances of getting infection and also lower the chances of getting disease when you get the infection. So keep on reinforcing the same steps, safety, masks. Richard, we are in the home stretch right now. What happened on the vaccine front is an incredible success story. It's a stunning victory of humankind. When we started off in March, April, there was a lot of skepticism about having a vaccine that will be effective or will it be safe. Those obstacles we have overcome with flying colors. To have two vaccines which have 95% efficacy and no serious side effects 60 days into the clinical trials, nothing like that has happened before. So we're looking at a conclusion of this pandemic. All we have to do is behave for the next 3 to 4 months, and the vaccine is out there. That's our savior. We are in the home stretch. All we need is cooperation from everybody. The defiance only equals death. Can we just do it for 3-4 months? That's not a big ask.
Does it surprise you? It just seems to me that this whole pandemic has been politicized in a really bad way. That I was reading a post that somebody posted on Twitter, I believe, who basically said, 3 more weeks from the governor, I'm not going to live under the rules of this tyrant. If he can go out to eat, I can too. It has been politicized with a point, and you brought this to my attention several weeks ago on the initial studies that said up to 60% of Americans either aren't going to take the vaccine or are extremely wary of it. Then you throw in the bad behavior of governors and other elected officials asking us to do things that they won't do, and then it becomes a political contest. How worried are you over that will affect our ability to do the right thing?
First of all, the right modeling, it's important that people in position of power model behavior that can be easily digestible for the people. The hypocrisy in position of power is most difficult to accommodate. For the governor or the mayor to say one thing and do another thing, like the mayor of Austin, Texas, he's in Cabo telling his people to stay inside. It sends a repulsive message that somehow it reinforces the notion of some people that there's a tyranny involved in this, that they can do whatever they want, but for the rest of us, there's a different set of rules. But the same set of rules apply for the virus anyway. Look at all the people who've been infected, from the governors to the president to the senators to everybody else.
Yeah.
But just because you are lackadaisical in self-discipline doesn't mean the virus is going to be somehow sparing to you. The other thing about the tyranny is this, Richard. I was just talking a couple of minutes ago about the Patrick Henry's proclamation, "Give me liberty or give me death." Mm-hmm. That was in different times when taxation and representation were being equaled by the U.S. colony. Patrick Henry never said, "Give me vaccine, give me virus and death." He said, "Give me liberty or death." So when they equate virus with liberty, I fail to see the connection. But having said that, the coming winter is the best friend the virus has, because in the cold weather and in the low humidity, the virus tends to survive much longer. And those two factors, the cold and the dry air, actually lowers our immunity. So we, at the receiving end, will have lower immunity. The virus will be more vibrant. So we really need to be careful this winter. Avoid crowds. Put the masks on, even when the family members are there, and avoid gatherings. Nobody's going to die if we have a smaller gathering this New Year Eve or Christmas, but people will die if we don't use common sense.
Yeah.
And again, in the beginning of the pandemic, there was no light. We did not know how long would it last. We didn't know if there's going to be a vaccine. The humans, the companies, Richard, the one in Germany is called BioNTech, founded by a Turkish couple who are acquired citizens of Germany. On January 24th, it's a beautiful story. On January 24th, this guy reads the story about COVID in one of the medical journals called Lancet. On January 25th, he repurposes all his company from cancer to COVID. And within months, within 2 weeks, he has 15 molecules 20 molecules, out of which 5 molecules he starts investigating for the vaccine. And the Pfizer vaccine that comes from there is 95% effective. Similarly with the Moderna.
Yeah.
These people never took a day off, never took a weekend off. They staggered shifts for 24-hour work to make sure the timelines were compressed. So when people put in so much effort and produce a product that's incredibly successful, can't we just have an iota of decency to say thank you for bringing such a good product? No, it's our turn to behave. We're not going to kill each other. We're just going to put the mask on. We're going to keep the separation. We're going to try to work with the virus, not against the virus, not with the virus. And again, is it Team America or Team Virus? Pick one.
Right, exactly. Has anything in the annals of vaccine history, have we ever seen anything like this from start to finish to develop a vaccine in less than a year? And my follow-up question to that is, does the Trump administration get some credit for this, for pushing the scientists, or is that just showmanship? I mean, to give credit where credit is due, this was done on President Trump's watch. Should he get some credit for this? And is this normally, you've told me yourself that vaccines take sometimes years to produce. How unusual was this?
This is extremely unusual. The fastest vaccine that was produced before this was for mumps, and that took 4 years. There's a woman, young lady, her name is Hamilton Bennett. She's 35 years old. So she was the first one who created a vaccine in 10 months for Ebola virus. Mm-hmm. Creating a vaccine doesn't mean that it's ineffective, so you have to go through multiple stages beyond that. But starting from zero to bring a vaccine that's usable, is efficacious and safe, took 4 years, the shortest period was for mumps. So Elizabeth Bennett, who works for Moderna, was given a timeline of 120 days to produce a vaccine. She says the fastest I did was in 180 days for Ebola. But they did give her a timeline of 120 days, and then they compressed it to 60 days, and then they compressed it further. It's an amazing story. From the day the thing with the RNA viruses is they're not using the virus per se. They know the genome of the virus, and they create RNA on the computers. So the template is created in the computer, and then it's synthesized in the lab. It's a beautiful thing that they had multiple molecules. Pick the one the thing is gonna produce antibodies, and then go from there. So the compression of the timeline is an incredible compliment to these people who put in their lives away to make this happen. So as far as the credit in BioNTech that worked with the Pfizer, they call the Operation Light Speed in Germany. Over here we call it Warp Speed.
Okay.
And yes, the government had a lot of the private-public collaboration had a lot to do with it. I'll give you an example. So Moderna needed a product that was being delivered, that was being transferred in a train, and there was a problem with the train, and train got stuck. So a military provided a plane to pick up the product to deliver in Cambridge, Massachusetts, so that the production or the process will not be delayed. So there have been some incredible cooperations that otherwise wouldn't happen. The bureaucracy was taken out of it. The timelines were compressed. So, and there were a couple of people who were made the czars or the co-leaders of this product. One is a Moroccan pharmaceutical executive who was in retirement who came out, and second is a general from Army. So the Moroccan guy who headed our Warp Speed is backing off now because the vaccine has been made, but the general is responsible for all the logistics in terms of dissemination of the vaccine to all the places. So yes, the government has a significant role in developing this at a warp speed. I would like to say this is government's responsibility. You know, I don't care who the leader is. This is how it should be done.
Yeah,
there
right.
should be all hands on deck.
Right, absolutely. Oh, how do you talk to Dr. Bridgebomby of Centric Health? Dr. Bomby, what do you tell people who say, and you're a medical professional and you're a scientist, what do you say to people like, whoa, I'm not taking that damn vaccine? I mean, it was rushed through. I just heard Dr. Bomby on the Richard Bean Show talking about how, it was compressed. I'm worried they may not, there might be some long-term side effects. I ain't taking that thing because it's been so politicized. How do you assure them that it's going to be medically sound?
The facts speak for themselves. When you have a product, first of all, none of this will be forced, but the facts are going to be overwhelming. The 95% efficacy, the safety, which will be tested. So there are numbers of steps that are instituted to make sure the data is pristine and clean. First, it starts in the lab, then the scientific studies in 3 phases, then the company looks at it, then an independent board looks at it, then FDA looks at it. So there are multiple independent agencies whose job is to make sure they audit and conclude based on the evidence the right facts. The final result will not be corrupt. It will be totally clean. It will be vetted by credible humans whose job is aligned towards humanity. There will be no politics in it. So the product you're going to get, Richard, in the form of vaccine is going to be pristine, it's going to be effective, and it's going to be safe. The safety, as we discussed in the past, the most of the major side effects occur within the first 90 days. So we have 60-day data. Give us another 30 days or so, and we will know. We will know if there is any major side effect like transverse myelitis or Guillain-Barré syndrome or things like that. But I think the proof is in the pudding. The day vaccine is available to me, I'm going to get it.
Right. And a final question. I don't want to run out of time here. But when this vaccine is starting to be distributed, are you in agreement with what you have heard about the priorities that it should go to first responders first, and then to people over 65, and along with people in senior care facilities? Are you okay with that?
I think that's a fair way of doing it. People can always have difference of opinion. For instance, in England, they're doing it differently. They're not going through the healthcare workers first. They're going for 80-year-old or first. But that's the only country that's doing it that way. The rest of the Europe is going the way the CDC recommendation is. People can have difference of opinion, but it seems logical to me what the CDC's recommendation is.
Okay. And finally, are there any, there's been a couple stories as this vaccine gets closer, I've read, that talk about that don't be surprised, America, there will be side effects in the same way that there is with the flu. You could, what would some of the normal side effects after a vaccine might be?
The typical side effects are the soreness at the site of injection. And with both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines, the second shot seems to be a little worse than the first one. And people tend to have a few hours to a day of mild flu-like symptoms. So those are the common symptoms. The ones that we worry about are the paralysis or the Guillain-Barré are less likely with this because this is such a refined, purified product. There are no other virus-related components that can produce an unexpected immune response that can be destructive to the body. So that's an assumption, but it seems to pan out as time goes out. I think another month or two we'll know for sure.
Okay, very good. Well, that's good news. So we should all celebrate that the scientists across the world have come together to bring us this vaccine. And we should not confuse politics with science here, folks. I'm gonna be the first in line to get this thing, and I would advise you to do the same. Dr. Bombi, thank you for coming on, sir. Have a good weekend.
You too, Richard. Stay safe.
Okay, buddy. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right.